What up, folks, and welcome to the Kyber Culture with myself, Joe. And joining me today, first timer on the show, is Matt Roth of Hops Geek News to discuss the change in the hierarchy of power. That's right, folks. After 15 years, Black Adam is finally in theaters. So we're going to chat a little bit about the movie, but stick around for our discussion. Make sure to follow the Kyber Culture on YouTube and TikTok, as well as our other socials like Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. All the links are in the description. And if you like what you're listening to, please consider leaving a rating and a review wherever you get your podcasts. But before we get into the film, Matt, welcome to the show. Real nice to have you on at long last.
Yeah, man. What's up? And there's no better way to join this show than talking about the change of the hierarchy, which we've been talking about for, I didn't realize it'd been 15 years, but I guess looking back, it really has. Like, The Rock is just that the hierarchy is about to change. And we're like, all right, we're doing this. And then eventually, like, holy crap, we're actually sitting in theater watching this movie right now, finally.
Yeah. No, it's insane. Honestly, that was news to me, though, just finding out that The Rock was, Black Adam since 2007. Yeah, that's bonkers to me. But
that's like the beginning of his acting career too, when you think about it, and then like how big he's grown into this acting icon, this brand in the last 15 years. The fact that he even stayed on to do this is kind of insane, and he's taking over the DC universe himself. It seems like
the stuff that he's done between then and now is amazing. But before we get into the movie, tell me a little bit about Hops Geek News. To my understanding, it's not just one podcast show. You guys kind of have like a network of things going on. But how long you been doing it, and what made you want to start it?
Yeah, man. So me and my co-host Lauren and I, we do Geeks, the Hops Geek News. That's kind of like its own thing now. We used to be kind of part of a network. We still do the other show, which I'll talk about in a second. But Hops Geek News, basically, we just want to talk about all things nerd, right? Pop culture, comic books, movies, TV shows. We pick kind of like a main topic. And we feature like a beer of the week, since we're both involved in the craft beer industry as well. It kind of makes it fun to feature a lot of these smaller breweries and things. But we just talk weekly, and we've been doing it for 2 years. We got started right when the pandemic kicked off. We used to, before that, we would just put pictures on an Instagram, Hops News, which is our other show, which is strictly beer news and beer industry things. We just never met. We just randomly would put pictures on Instagram. And then eventually, when everything shut down, we're like, you guys want to just get together and drink beer and talk about things? And kind of from there, it turned into a podcast about beer. And Lauren and I kept talking about nerd stuff and geek things, and broke it into its own real kind of show. So we've been doing that for 2 years, and it's been a lot of fun. She lives in Orlando. I'm in Idaho. So lining up schedules, and the fact that we've become such good friends and have only really hung out about like 4 times in person over the last 2 years has been a lot of fun. And so I'm glad we do it. And it's an outlet, because our significant others don't want to hear us talk about Black Adam and the hierarchy changing.
Why don't they want to bear witness? Come on.
They don't want to see the hierarchy of podcasting change.
Well, that's so cool. Like when I first started this podcast, it was also a pandemic little project, and me and my other 2 co-hosts, we would always like, it was very similar. We would like drink on the show. We would talk about what we're drinking and then get into like the nerdy stuff. But we tried doing whiskey for a while, and then eventually it was just like, no, we're getting too sloshed to do this podcast, just drinking whiskey,
I've had a few of those nights where it's like, oh God, you go back to edit and you're just like, ooh, can we release this? Is this even good to release? Oh my God.
This is tough. I mean, that's not to say that we don't like drink and be on the podcast. We just don't talk about it as much. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, that's great. Give me, quick, like top 3 IPAs.
Top 3 IPAs. All right. So the first one is probably Ghost Blimp from Tactical Brewing. It's their New England IPA, and that one's from Orlando. I'm going to say Definitive Brewing. I always forget the name. It's like it starts with an S. I always forget the name, but it's out of Portland, Maine. That one's just like really juicy, really, really good. And then I don't like the third one I don't really have like a set in stone third one, but if I did, it would be Pliny, just because they are Russian River Brewing, household name. You can it's hard to get that beer anywhere, and it's just amazing. It's one of the oldest IPAs in the beer game, I guess you can say, and they do it best.
I think for me, I definitely don't have a top 3, but one of my go-tos is just like a Lagunitas IPA.
Yeah.
Have you had those? Yeah.
Because
those ones are like, for one, I think they're pretty good, and then they're not that expensive. I think it's pretty affordable. So it's always got to go with some of those. If you're ever in California, you should. Well, you recently were.
Yes.
And you checked out what Bottle Logic?
Yep. I went to Disneyland with the family, so I snuck away. And the only brewery I really got to, well, I got to two. Ballast Point doesn't really count for me because it's big. It's there in downtown Disney. But I went to Bottle Logic, and their beers are really, really good. I've had some once in a while, so that was one of those. Oh, I gotta get there and check out their brewery in person kind of beers.
Nice, that's sick. But yeah, let's see. You said Ballast Point. They're like main spot. Like they have their little area in downtown Disney, but their main brewery I think is in Long Beach, and that place is like if you're ever back in California, it's a cool place to hang out.
Well, spoiler alert, I'm going to be coming to LA in June of next year for a wedding. So,
oh, there you go. Spoiler alert. I think I made some recs to you as well. Like, are you actually going to be in Los Angeles?
Yes. So the wedding is in Malibu. So we're going to be staying in Los Angeles. The wife and I are hoping to come and just kind of be tourists for a few days and do the LA thing without kids. So,
that sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely got to check out Angel City Brewing. I think I told you about that one.
Yep.
That's the only one that comes to mind. Angel City and Ballast Point. Those are probably the most fun. I mean, where I used to live in Claremont, there's of course like the little hometown brewery, which is nice. But if you're ever out and about and you see this thing called Claremont Craft Ales, I think their most popular beer is called like Jacaranda. It's an IPA.
Oh, nice.
Definitely give that a go and let me know what you think.
Yeah, I'm down. That's the best part about like beer is just trying new things and hey, I tried this from this because everybody kind of does it differently. Yeah, the styles are kind of the same, but what's great is, somebody in Los Angeles is doing something similar to what somebody in like North Carolina is doing, but they put their own kind of twist to it. And so to me, it makes it more special and different at the same time.
Nice. Well, that's awesome, dude. So where can we find you?
Yeah, so
like
pretty much
socials.
If you just search Hops Geek News on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Letterboxd, all that stuff, that's where you can find us. And then that's also where you can find our episodes, just searching Hops Geek News on every single platform that's out there. We're hosted by Spreaker. So if you want to go there and search us, and then the other show, if you're into beer, is Hops News. Just search Hops News on all the socials and all the podcasting platforms as well. We are there, and we do stuff weekly, and we do a weekly beer show. Nice.
Sounds good, man. And you guys got a great show too. Definitely listen to a few pods. You guys are great.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Of course. But okay, so let's move on here. Let's talk a little bit of nerd culture news from this past week. So Harrison Ford in the MCU as Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. Deadline announced this. What do you think?
I'm surprised. To be honest with you, I am surprised that Harrison Ford at the age of 80 is stepping into the superhero universe, because he's done Indiana Jones, he's done the Star Wars thing, but I didn't actually think he would ever come into like Marvel or anything like that. And I thought they would go a different direction and probably just let that character die off. But I wonder how long he's actually going to stay around. I am excited for it, but I'm curious, are we going to go the Red Hulk route or what's the end game? Because again, he's 80 years old. How much can he really be doing?
For me, it really just seemed like he's like searching for like some retirement money at this point.
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree with you. Like Harrison Ford joining like another big IP was kind of a shocker. And like one of the things to me that I think some other folks are online that are confused about is because if he does become Red Hulk, I don't know if Harrison Ford really has like the demeanor for it. At the same time, though, it's like Mark Ruffalo is also very like a laid back dude and he's the Hulk,
That's also true.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it'll turn out fine. Yeah. I don't know if they'll do the Red Hulk route, and maybe, what if they do kill him off in the Thunderbolts movie, I think that could maybe just serve as like the end of General Ross. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that does make a lot of sense in the way that they would bring him back to give his character a final, since his character's been around since, 2008, and William Hurt has been playing this character for so long. And so they maybe just want to give him a proper send off, which maybe in Thunderbolts, he does go Red Hulk and gets killed somehow. Kind of one of those one-off villain type things that Marvel likes to do.
Right. Do you think he needs the stash?
I don't think he needs the stash, but I kind of hope he does, just because I want to see Harrison Ford instead of his like grizzly beard look. I need to see Harrison Ford in mustache glory. I just need this.
Yes, we absolutely need the I want the mustached Hulk too, but I actually read this online. At first, I was like, oh, well, he needs a mustache and the Red Hulk needs a mustache. But I read that the Red Hulk with the mustache actually isn't Thaddeus Ross, to my understanding.
No, it's somebody totally different. And but Marvel, what they do is they take things from different characters and they kind of piece them together. So who knows? Maybe we'll get stashed up Red Hulk just wreaking havoc everywhere.
I would love that. The stash is really important. And no, I had to actually do some Googling and look up Harrison Ford with a mustache, and he can grow a pretty great one. Anyways, that's Harrison Ford in the MCU. Let's talk some Marvel rumors, some MCU rumors, and these are like fresh off the press. Like literally, I just read about these like an hour ago. Well, this one I heard a couple days ago, but firstly, Sacha Baron Cohen supposedly cast as Mephisto. And
here we go again.
Yeah, here we go again. I can't go through this again.
Here we go.
Yeah. But in Ironheart, of all projects, I mean, does that make sense to you at all?
It doesn't make sense to me whatsoever, because I figured Ironheart would be setting up like Armor Wars, or we'd be getting maybe, Justin Hammer coming back into the game, but instead we're getting Mephisto rumors in Ironheart. Like, where are we at right now?
Yeah, what is going on?
Like, hold up.
But it's also rumored that he might be getting his own Halloween special. Now that would be something. That would be something, because Werewolf by Night, fucking amazing. But yeah, that'll be crazy if he gets his own
Well,
special.
I think they should do more than Marvel special presentations rather than, take a break maybe from focusing on shows. They've been pumping shows out left and right. Maybe give us maybe a Halloween special every year or something like that. It doesn't have to be Werewolf by Night every year. You have all these kind of mystical characters and things like Mephisto that would serve a pretty good story for an hour-long special if that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I think what also would be pretty interesting is like another Werewolf by Night Halloween special. But it's just him and fucking Moon Knight just duking it out. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That would be awesome. Sign me up. Sign me up for that one.
Well, let's see. Marvel also developing multiple TVMA projects for Disney Plus. That's of course a win. But this one pretty interesting. Silver Surfer special presentation. That's a big rumor today.
Is it? I haven't seen that rumor yet today. That is some serious fresh off the press right there. I hadn't seen that one yet.
It's from like the MCU insider guys. So yeah, that would be nuts. I really need to see that one.
Yeah, especially,
and supposedly they'll of course want to release it before the Fantastic Four movie.
Yes, if we're bringing Fantastic Four in, who knows at this point? I think it got pushed back even more. But to give you like a Silver Surfer introduction and then we roll into Fantastic Four, okay, I'm on board.
Yeah, some promise for Phase 5 for sure. But yeah, we'll have to see about all those. But yeah, just rumors, so grain of salt. Let's see. Next piece of news here: the Batman spinoffs. Some spinoffs are on the way. I was like, I'm surprised we heard about spinoffs before news about the sequel.
Right.
But this is interesting. It's the spinoffs are going to focus on Batman's Rogues Gallery. Characters include Scarecrow, Clayface, and Professor Pig. When I saw the Batman, like one of my first thoughts after seeing the movie is like, okay, where could they go with the sequel? And of course, like, I want like Mr. Freeze. That would be pretty cool in this world that Matt Reeves built. But Professor Pig would be like just absolute like serial killer maniac. That would be amazing.
Well, Matt Reeves kind of built this like noir kind of universe where it is darker. I know that's like the trigger word, but I think somebody like Professor Pig and also somebody that's tragic like Clayface and then Mr. Freeze and Scarecrow, they all really work well into the universe that he built, because something about that universe and just how kind of brutal it kind of is. Yeah, I think we got a serial killer Zodiac style with Riddler. So Pig and Scarecrow fit perfectly into what's going on here.
Yeah, man, that would be nuts. I just need more. I need more.
I do. I need it ASAP. And the fact that we haven't officially gotten word about the second one being, in production, greenlit, all this stuff yet is kind of like, all right, what are we waiting on? But you have some of these big name actors being like, yeah, I would play Mr. Freeze, like Giancarlo Esposito being like, I would love to play Mr. Freeze. Yeah. So what are we waiting on, Warner Brothers? Let's go.
Let's fucking get the ball rolling. And, of course, there's like all that drama that's going on at Warner Brothers. So I just hope they figure it out soon.
Yes.
They really need to not drop the bag on this one.
Oh, especially with how much, like, again, you got these big timers being like, yeah, I would step into this villain role. Let's put your drama aside and let's focus on what we have in front of us and let's run with it.
Let's get into the content. Let's move.
Yes. Like, come on.
I'm curious about, and this is something that I'm not, this is actually some news as well, but I'm just not too familiar with the former president of DC Films. But I wonder if Walter Hamada, I don't know too much about that, but I wonder if he was a hiccup.
From my understanding, again, rumors, he was the one that was really pushing these alternate Superman stories. Like, he didn't want to focus on Clark Kent and Henry Cavill. He really wanted to focus on whatever it was J.J. Abrams wanted to do with the Superman and this other version of Superman, a Michael B. Jordan Superman. Now that he's kind of gone, Warner Brothers is like, no, we want to focus on Henry Cavill, Man of Steel 2. Like, we want to focus on our actual Earthline characters that we were kind of started out in the beginning. We don't need to focus on 8 different Supermans. Focus on the one and build from there.
Got you. That's interesting. I just feel like the discourse online was like a lot of folks were like really happy to see like Walter Hamada finally stepping away. Yeah. I just never understood the whole spiel behind it. But
yeah, my understanding is he was the one that was rumored to be holding up a lot of these projects and being kind of like the pain in the ass, essentially.
Well, I guess it's a win. We'll see how we'll see if the future is looking bright for the DCEU. But one last piece of news, Man of Steel 2 supposedly in development. Latest from today is actually there's no deal with Cavill yet. He's supposed to be in multiple projects. I mean, we'll see. I rewatched Man of Steel recently, and
it's a good movie.
I like the movie. Yeah, I definitely like the movie.
It's a good movie.
Like, I think the main critique about Man of Steel was that, like, this isn't Superman. It's, like, too dark to be Superman. And, I mean, that's fine, especially if you, like, read a lot of, like, Superman comics. I just kind of looked at it as, like, it's a new version of the character, I guess.
Right. Well, that, and he's kind of learning how to be that Superman that we know. So he's never really had to use his powers. He was always told to kind of suppress them for various reasons. And now he sees what could happen to Earth, and now he's building himself into that Superman. And then, yeah, I know Zack Snyder's Justice League, all that whole thing, but you kind of got a glimpse of that when he showed up at the end. He kind of had that essence of the Superman that we know at the end of that film. So I would like to see, okay, let's get a Man of Steel sequel, because we should have had this by now, and give us that character that we know and love and show us. And because I think he'd crush it. I absolutely would crush it.
It would be great. And, everyone loves, like, I love Henry Cavill as Superman, so I would love to see it happen for sure.
And apparently, I believe in these rumors because apparently Michael Keaton's Batman scenes from Aquaman 2 have been cut. So it seems like maybe Ben Affleck might not necessarily be totally out the door then if all these reshoots and things are to be believed. And it looks like maybe these are our DCU characters and they're going to continue forward just with different directors and visionaries.
Would you want Zack Snyder for Man of Steel 2?
I don't dislike him. I don't want him back just because of how divisive everything became and how toxic that entire situation became. Let's get fresh ideas in. Having one person kind of create all of these character films. I know he didn't really touch Wonder Woman, but he had a big say in BVS, Justice League, Man of Steel. Let's get some fresh ideas in and then have that one person over top kind of, all right, I'm going to be the one connecting the pieces. This is what you have to play with. The Marvel style, because that works. You got to have one person who's not touching these projects directly, but overseeing all of the big picture. And that's what they're missing. So give it to James Gunn.
Honestly, James Gunn should probably just have like, he should be the answer to Kevin Feige, just exactly. Give James Gunn the keys.
Just like, James, this is your world. Do whatever you want. Bring on whoever you want. Let's do it.
But yeah, no, I agree with you as far as bringing back Zack Snyder. I think I'd rather not have it just because of the Snyder cult. I don't want to give them like an inch because they're kind of like the worst dudes online.
Absolutely.
We'll see about Man of Steel 2.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
But okay, let's talk about the change in the hierarchy of power.
It's
finally
happened,
here.
Or something's happening.
Something's happening. First off, what can you tell me about Black Adam from the comics?
Basically, he was Kondok's champion. He gets his powers from the gods, given the powers from Egyptian deities. Originally, it was like Greco-Roman, but they changed it to be Egyptian later on. And he abuses these powers. He kind of gets corrupted. And his whole idea is he just wants world domination. Like he's a dictator straight up. And he kind of gets banished, and it takes him 5,000 years to get back to Earth. And when he does, that's when he kind of meets Shazam in 1945, and they kind of duke it out. And he kind of runs into these heroes because his whole thing was I'm going to take over the world. And yeah, he is an anti-hero because there are certain circumstances where he has to team up like against Darkseid and things like that. But for the most part, like Black Adam is not a good dude. He just wants to self-serve. He wants to rule people and abuse his powers. And he's just kind of isn't this like, oh yeah, I'll help you. No, it's if it benefits Black Adam, then he's going to do it. But at the same time, he's also beefing with all the other superheroes because again, he constantly tries to take over the world. So
I don't want to get too far into it. Well, we're going to spoil the movie, folks. So here's your spoiler warning for Black Adam. Okay. So from what you just told me, my understanding is, he actually wants to rule. And something that happens by the end of Black Adam in this is that he, The Rock sits on the throne. We get that shot of him trying to, remake that iconic look of Black Adam sitting in a chair. Like, it doesn't seem like he really wants to rule Kondok in the movie.
Needs a protector.
So, yeah. So that's probably like the main difference you'd say is that like he actually wants world domination, where in this he just wants to like look over people. He wants to be a quote unquote good guy.
Yeah, and I think that's just The Rock not really letting himself play anything but this hero that people look up to because I mean there were some pretty brutal kills, but at the end of the movie he keeps saying he's not a villain or not a good guy, I should say. The Rock didn't really let himself not be a good guy. So yeah, I would really like to see more of that. No, I want to rule the world kind of thing. Not just they need a protector, because that's not really it.
Yeah, no, for me, I don't know anything about Black Adam comics or too much about the character really. Like the most I've gotten from him is for first this movie, but then also just like the DC animated movies. Like those are, I don't know if you've seen any of those, but
have you seen it's the Shazam versus Black Adam, and then Superman comes in. I forget I thought it might just be named Black Adam versus Superman or something like that. But
yeah,
it's a really, really good animated film. It's only like an hour long, and it's nonstop Black Adam, Shazam, and Superman in a 3-way match.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure there was like one clip of this going around for a while where it's just like, or like they're just going at it, and it's just like this crazy exchange of just blows, and it just looks badass. I just remember it was like it was from one of the animated movies, but
yeah, it's probably that one. Then I highly recommend checking it out. It's worth a watch, and again, it's like an hour long. So DC
animated stuff is chef's kiss. But anyways, the actual movie, we kind of talked about the ending already, but other folks in this movie besides Dwayne Johnson, got Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher. I can't say this girl's name, but
I know her name is so hard to pronounce.
I'm gonna say Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone. But yeah, so aside from the ending, what did you make of Black Adam? What did you think? This is 15 years in the making. How did you feel about it?
Look, I'm going to be honest. I had a really good time in this movie. I had fun. It was fun. But that's not to say that there weren't a lot of issues that I was just kind of like, the good stuff. Dr. Fate and Hawkman were glorious. Oh, yeah. They were easily my favorite part of the movie. Dr. Fate, man, Pierce Brosnan, he was so good in this role. And Aldous Hodges as Hawkman, like they were the stars of the show, without a doubt. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm surprised by how much JSA we did get in this movie and how kind of contained to Kondok it actually was. And so those very good, very good. The Rock, I thought he did okay. He kind of stepped out of playing The Rock a little bit, but not too much. Like he gave himself an inch out of his normal box, which isn't saying a whole lot. So those were all great things. I thought just the fight sequences were great. The CGI wasn't overly terrible. Like there was nothing that I was kind of like, oh, that's pretty bad. For the most part, you're going to expect CGI. It's going to be obvious in some circumstances, but the effects, everything was really good. The stuff I didn't like, that kid. Number one,
yeah.
That kid was the worst part of this movie. The absolute, like, they kept trying to, I think they were trying to use him to humanize, Teth Adam, which they shouldn't have done whatsoever. Like, no, the Black Adam isn't coming up here to save these kids and save this family. And like having the family work with Black Adam, that didn't work for me at all. And some of the dialogue was pretty lazy and stuff like that, like trying to give himself a catchphrase and The Rock trying to be the good guy. That didn't really work for me either. So those are the things that didn't work for me. But overall, man, I enjoyed this movie. I went in with very low expectations and I came out being like, yeah, I had a really good time. It was entertaining.
For sure. So 15 years worth the wait?
Yeah, I guess in the current state of the DC, there's definitely, if you're building this up for 15 years, there's some things that you could have took a look at and been like, yeah, this doesn't make sense, i.e. trying to, the whole family and Black Adam portion. But I'm interested to see where it goes because it seems like The Rock has been the saving grace for DC because to get that extra credit scene, I know we're jumping ahead, he kind of went around Hamada, who kept telling him no and was basically like, no, this is what I want to happen. And so they let that happen. And so if The Rock's going to be kind of like that, no, what I say goes, hey, I'm good with it.
Yeah, no, for me, I would say like, as far as like waiting, quote unquote, waiting for the film, for me, I didn't even know it was like, I barely knew that he was cast in 2007, so I don't think like between now and 2007, there was a lot of folks that were like clamoring for a Black Adam movie, so it's like, it's just knowing that it's been like 15 years is more so like, I don't think it was 15 years of building up anticipation for the movie. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's fine. But okay. So let's talk about Rotten Tomatoes critics.
Oh gosh. Oh boy.
Last I checked, I think it's like going between like 50 and 53% on Rotten Tomatoes. And like, what's your take on Rotten Tomatoes just in general?
We put way too much stock in Rotten Tomatoes score. It's honestly kind of become a detriment to cinema and television as a whole. It's because we put all this stock like, oh, the Rotten Tomato score is this, that means it's going to be bad. And then people go in and they formulate their opinion. Like nobody really thinks for themselves. I feel like it kind of detracts from that. And so I hate it. I hate Rotten Tomatoes. I always go in and be like, okay, yeah, that's a score. Great. But I always like to watch a movie for myself. And I think more people should do that because we put so much stock into what some Rotten Tomato score is. Like, I don't agree with it at all.
Yeah, I find it to be a little harsh. But as far as Rotten Tomatoes is concerned, yeah, I'm not especially like for you and I, like people like us, we're going to see it regardless. Right. We're going to watch a movie regardless. But then there are a lot of people who like, I would say like aren't like moviegoers or aren't into like this pop culture stuff in general. It kind of sucks because they will see this score and be like, no, I'm not going to see the movie.
It sucks. Yeah. It's at 40% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Holy shit.
40% on Metacritic, 7.2 on IMDb. So, okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but the audience score is at 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's quite the disparity. Right.
I feel like that's usually how it goes too. Like depending on what it is, like I feel like it doesn't happen as often where the audience and the critics both agree on something.
Rarely.
It really depends. But yeah, no, okay. So for me, like my thoughts on the movie, from the jump, this thing just felt like a WWE match with superheroes. Yes. The action just starts and it doesn't stop. It's literally like a superhero beatdown and showdown, which was very entertaining to watch. I've said this on like multiple shows before, but I'm not like the biggest Rock fan as an actor. I just always loved his come up story. I'm a fan of Dwayne Johnson, just like who he is. Yeah. If that makes any sense. Still, my favorite role of his is probably his show Ballers on HBO.
Oh, I haven't watched that one yet.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's like sports contracts and all that stuff. So, but yeah, no, after watching Black Adam, I still feel the same about The Rock. Like a lot of folks online will say like, oh, this is The Rock's best performance. Like he's never done before. And I'm like, I don't know, guys. I mean, I don't know if he brought anything super special to the role.
He didn't do anything that he doesn't normally do. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's like pretty standard stuff. He's just never been a superhero, he's just adding like another notch on his belt. But yeah, as far as like things that I really liked, I thought there were some decent laughs in this movie. Like there were some jokes that like kind of hit for me, especially like I feel like his portrayal of Black Adam kind of matches up with like Dave Bautista's Drax. It kind of because they're both like kind of like a little dumb, you know?
Yeah.
And they just don't understand like humanity or whatever. And like some jokes like fly over his head or whatever. But he's not as like, you know, he doesn't try to crack as many jokes as Drax, I feel like. Like I think he's just like super serious and broody. But that's what makes it funny, you know?
Well, yeah, like when he goes through the walls, he had a thing where he's like, you can use a door, you know? Did they not have doors that back then? He was like, of course you did. How do you think we went room to room? Like, that was a good one. I enjoyed that. He just had a habit of just going right through walls.
And at first, I thought he was just doing it just because he was an asshole. But then he just literally just goes through like 5 walls. And just because like he doesn't know what a door is.
Yeah.
And another thing I thought that was pretty funny is just how much time he spent just like floating around the city.
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't walk anywhere. This man just floats everywhere.
Yeah. And I think that's like a point at the end of the movie too, is that like, oh, he's finally like the protector, because he didn't like set foot on the ground until the very end, like after he defeated the thing or whatever. But yeah, no, I thought it was pretty funny at times. The action, it goes on for a while, but it's still like very entertaining stuff. Like Hawkman and Black Adam just going at it for like 15 minutes was good stuff to see.
Yeah, I really loved their beef. Like they just constantly the whole time just want to beat the shit out of each other, and they keep getting like, oh, fine, all right, we'll be teammates, but I'm coming back for you later. And Hawkman's just getting his ass whooped the whole movie, but he still doesn't stay down. Like, all right, I can get behind that. Yeah, I really love that. As far as your negatives too, like I agree with all of them for one, but some things that like, because I saw you guys talking about it in the group chat this morning. Someone was like, "Oh, effing nerds! Of course, they'll talk about the script." You know? Old Nick's a script guy.
yeah, but no, I agree with Nick. Like it's, you said it yourself as well. Is that like it's pretty cheese, you know? A lot of it's super cheesy.
There isn't much to the script. There is no depth at all to the script.
Yeah, it's pretty standard like superhero stuff. I don't know, but I want to talk to Nick about this. But some of the editing as well is like there was one scene where they were just talking in a room, and it like cut like 50 times to like Black Adam to that kid's mom to the kid. It was jarring to me. Like I typically don't look at like cuts or like edits or anything like that, but that was something where I was like, holy fuck! Like
I noticed that too.
Yeah, can we just focus on one person right now? It's like,
or like, you know, do a wide shot where you can see everybody talking, or like, I don't know, you can single shot pan the camera around. There are ways. You didn't need to do like quick cut. It was like watching a TikTok video, like cut.
Yeah, no, oh my gosh, a TikTok is perfect way to describe it, and maybe that's why they did it, to try and hold people's attention.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was that. CGI, yeah, no, you're right. Like most of the CGI is good. The only time where I thought it was like kind of like the demon himself, Sabak, sometimes looked a little much. About Sabak though, what do you know about? Do you know anything about Sabak?
A little bit. So I know that he's kind of like one of the villains. He's this demon and pretty faithful for the most part as far as the movie goes. But I don't know too much about him. I'll be honest with you. All I know is pretty much that he was created. He's just an enemy of Shazam, and that's kind of it. He's just a dark villain, pretty much.
Okay, so as far as the film is concerned, because when I was watching the movie, it kind of came off to me that Sabak is kind of like a demon monster answer to like the Shazam gods.
That's essentially it. He's the opposites of the Shazam. That's pretty much it is. Like they're the opposite dark magic, because the same way all he has to do is say Sabak and he turns. So that's pretty much, he's just the opposite with the same powers except for demonized.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I wish we got a little more of that. I think that's another negative for me, is that like the third act with like these zombies coming out of nowhere. I was like, whoa, what the hell is this?
I didn't like the zombies rising up, and then you get that kid doing like that whole like bring everybody together scene to fight the zombies. Okay. I was like, please stop. Like
you said earlier, another negative for me is definitely the kid, because he was just annoying. And then I was like okay with him for the most part up until he tried gathering all the people. Just, man, I hate to really bash on kids' performances, but
it was bad.
Like when he was trying to do this fucking rousing inspirational speech, I was just like, dude, you are not doing it. Oh man,
certainly needs some practice on the inspirational speeches, because it was like watching a Russell Wilson speech. It was
oh
bad.
no.
It was just like, no, how are you getting hyped? Like, we got zombies coming. I don't need some little kid who runs around with a skateboard to get me hyped up. I'm going to fight for my life at this point. I will say though, like with Sabak, it felt like at the third act, they were like, oh crap, that's right. We actually need like a common enemy to defeat in this movie. Throw him in there. Yeah, we've been chasing the crown the whole time, but they're like, okay, that's right. We forgot to actually show what he looks like. We got to bring him in.
That's a good point. You know what this movie really felt like? You remember not James Gunn's Suicide Squad, but the Suicide Squad before it?
Yeah. Oh God, how could you forget?
I'm sorry, but this feels like the first Suicide Squad. Everything about it, like the way the movie starts out, the way they introduce the Justice Society, the team of characters is the same. I think the villain is the same, like the way that they kill it off. It's, yeah.
You know, it is very curious, like the fact. So I feel like this is what happened here. I feel like DC didn't have a plan, right? And they kind of were scrapping their plan and they were going to do some weird stuff. So they kind of brought the JSA in because to them, DC was a mess. They didn't really have the Suicide Squad and things are going to get rebooted. So it's like, all right, bring the JSA in. Everything's going to get rebooted. We can explain it later. But the fact that I don't think things are getting rebooted now and we're going to continue with this vision, that's kind of like, oh, why did Amanda Waller call in the JSA when she has a Suicide Squad that she said she specifically prepared to fight against people like Superman? And where did the JSA come? Where were they at when Darkseid and Steppenwolf were taking over? Like, what was Hawkman and Dr. Fate doing? Just chilling in their lair in Louisiana? Like, okay, what were they doing the whole time? We kind of needed a little bit of explanation. Just like you could even had Amanda Waller drop a line as to why she's linking up with Hawkman to get this. And why are they working with Amanda Waller? She's also not a good person either.
Yeah, no, I feel like they tried, like, at least for the first couple acts of the film, and I wish they kind of, maybe this movie could have done without Sabak, and they could have just made it like a whole thing between like the JSA and like versus Black Adam.
That's what it should have been.
I thought that's what it was going to be, if I'm being completely honest with you.
It should have been that, but I think, again, The Rock refused to let himself be the villain, and so they're like, all right, we have to introduce somebody to common enemy. Otherwise, we should have just done Black Adam comes back. Black Adam wants to take over. JSA comes in to stop Black Adam from taking over. There's your movie.
Mm-hmm. Anything else from the actual movie itself that caught your eye?
Everybody's costumes, outfits were all really cool. I really like Cyclone's powers. I thought they did a really good job showcasing. Oh yeah,
we didn't talk about Cyclone or Atom Smasher really.
Atom Smasher. I mean, they were kind of just there. To be honest, let's be honest, they were just kind of there. Like Atom Smasher doesn't really do anything besides quip the whole movie. And that's fine. Okay, whatever. We got a Henry Winkler. He's in the DCEU, which is kind of dope. To me, Dr. Fate, I loved what they did showcasing his magic. He's long been one of my favorite characters in the DC universe, just magic wise and just how badass he is and seeing the future and all this stuff. Really glad we got to see him. I wish Pierce Brosnan didn't die, because I feel like, but I don't, obviously I think we're going to get more Dr. Fate because the helmet's just going to transfer because it chooses. So we're going to get another iteration of Dr. Fate, but I would have loved to seen more Pierce Brosnan. Like we just got him introduced and all of a sudden he's gone already. Like that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Atom Smasher for me, I did like Cyclone. I thought, you know, for what they were given, both Atom Smasher and Cyclone, it was okay. I mean, nothing crazy, you know?
Yeah. They were just kind of there.
Atom Smasher though, like the one thought that I had, the eyes and the mask, it's a blue Deadpool mask, and his character kind of comes off as like a PG Deadpool to me. Like the way, like how quippy he was, I was just like, oh man.
Yeah. I did. That's kind of, I was like, I didn't like that. That's all he did. Like he was just like quipping and messing up constantly. I get he's a new greener hero, but like I will say like the costume though was pretty faithful, I guess, because
it looked cool. I thought it looked cool.
His mask kind of his mask looks like that. The costume was pretty faithful, but yeah, it was just kind of everybody's just going to see Deadpool, a PG Deadpool. It's unfortunate. That's just how it is.
Yeah, it's just because it's the eyes. It's the eyes that make it look very Deadpool.
Yes.
I would love some more Dr. Fate as well, because that's definitely, I think we talked about this already, but definitely a highlight of the movie. And I love, have you seen the meme where there's like a Dr. Fate like GIF meme that goes around, and he's like doing his little hand things, and it's like, it says like, did I ask?
I haven't seen that one, but the thing that sucks is I think a lot of people are just going to be like calling him a ripoff of Doctor Strange. And I'm just going to be like, I hope that isn't the next discourse, because
it could be. I could see it. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely like, I never tweeted that or put that thought out online, but I've definitely Googled it just because I was always curious. Is that like, like, I mean, who are you taking? Dr. Fate versus Doctor Strange?
Oh,
what's going on?
I'm taking Dr. Fate, but I think it's maybe some more bias in that, but I've always loved his character more. I feel like there's more depth, I guess. He came around in 1940, so he's been around for ever for the most part, and there's different iterations like I've mentioned. And so I just like he's got like Egyptian powers, mystical powers. He's kind of self-serving in a way too, because whenever who puts the helmet on, they kind of become like a slave to the magic in a way. And I think that's really kind of cool. There's like duality in there. And I don't know. I just like Dr. Fate. I like his costume way more too. I think that also appeals to me.
Like my only knowledge of Dr. Fate is just like, I've played like a couple video games where you get to play as Dr. Fate. How do you think they did his powers? You think they did his powers justice, or
they did, but at the same time, yeah, they didn't showcase nearly enough of his power, because he's way more powerful than they kind of nerfed him a bit in this, as far as magic wise and stuff. He's one of the more powerful magical beings in the DC universe. And so I feel like he could have taken Sabak pretty, not like one-on-one necessarily. I wouldn't say solo, but he could have done a lot more than just his typical, like, I'm going to mirror dimension stab you. So that's like the only go-to thing that they wanted to do, and there's a lot more to his powers that they didn't show.
The thing that Hawkman did in the end, because he also did like a mirror image. Is that something that's been done in the comics, like other people can use there's the powers but not necessarily have to be wearing the helmet?
It depends who's writing it. I've seen it happen a couple times, but there's a lot of different iterations of the character anyways. But yeah, I mean, typically no, because again, the helmet kind of has its own mind and does its own thing. And so it has to choose you kind of deal. And if you put it on, then like you can't just take it off kind of thing like that. But I think they showed their bond for some reason. And maybe that was Dr. Fate not totally being dead yet and having his own mind kind of deal.
Is there like any significance when eyes appear on the helmet?
No, that was pretty much just that this iteration of Dr. Fate is dead. That was kind of what that was. And now the helmet has disappeared and Kent Nelson is no more. Who knows who we're going to get? I mean, we could see Eric Strauss. We can see Linda Strauss there too. We can see Inza Kramer Nelson. They've been Dr. Fate. So there's been about like 5 or 6 different people to wear the helmet. Wow. So we got options, and that's why I don't think this is the last. I think the helmet disintegrated and now it's going off to find a new owner essentially. And
now how does it choose?
There's no rhyme or reason. It just kind of happens. Yeah.
Just kind of feel like, this person looks cool.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. So like it's pretty much the helmet of fate is kind of just how it is. It's created by Naboo. Yeah. Naboo is a planet in Star Wars. Naboo is kind of like the thing. And it just kind of has its mind of its own, essentially.
I'd definitely be interested in like some sort of like Dr. Fate solo project, just because of, just from what you told me. Yeah. It sounds like a great character.
The one thing too I didn't like is he kept taking his helmet off, which that's like the number one weakness of the Dr. Fate characters. Anytime you take your helmet off, you lose a lot of power. So, but I hope we get a dark Justice League, because he fits right in.
It kind of seems like Kent Nelson. It seems like he still had powers even with it off though.
Yeah, he did. That's another pick and choose kind of deal.
Gotcha. But okay, so let's talk about the post-credit scene. This was long rumored. Even I heard, I never saw it myself, but supposedly The Rock was talking about or like posting the post-credit scene online.
He wasn't keeping it a secret, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, he's like, every interview I've seen him in, he says the same thing. He's like, let me put it this way. we've
Go see the-
established Black Adam as the most powerful being on this planet. the most powerful being in the universe has been on the sidelines, and I'm like,
oh god, oh boy.
Can we get it? I mean, I don't know. Like I'm gonna be patient. I can definitely wait. But essentially, post credit scene, folks. If you haven't been spoiled online, we get Henry Cavill as Superman. They have like a little. Yeah, he's back. The guy's back. This is so funny to me, just because like for one, The Rock, $7 Productions, I think is the name of his company. They were behind Black Adam, and they also did DC League of Super Pets. These two post-credit scenes from both movies, like one was with Superman, and then like Black Adam was there with his dog. What was his dog's name?
Oh man, I can't remember the dog's name, but yeah, and that post-credit scene, he shows up, and it's Crypto is played by The Rock. I forget, was it John Krasinski but
John
he plays
Krasinski's
also,
Superman? Yeah,
and then Black Adam is also played by The Rock, and he shows up with his dog. And then, of course, we get like, man, The Rock has just like this hard on for Superman. It is kind of impressive, but he's bringing Superman back. So I'm like, I can't even be mad right now.
Yeah. But I feel like in both post-credit scenes, like for one, Henry Cavill in this, just his appearance is new as well. Like I think he has like the more classic,
the shorter hair with the curl, and he's got the more classic suit. Yeah.
I mean, the classic suit, it still looks like very Man of Steel, but I think the S emblem is a little bigger. The colors are brighter on it for sure. But in both post-credit scenes, like I feel like one of them says, "We need to talk."
Yes, no, they do, because he shows up. He's like, "Oh, we need to talk." Whatever. He's like, send him back. He plays fetch and sends him to Pluto or whatever.
Yeah, we need to talk. Like, oh my god. It's funny to me. It's fine. Like
pretty much, if you saw the DC League of Super Pets post credit scene, you saw the Black Adam post credit scene.
Oh man!
You can see The Rock sitting there pitching it. He's like, "All right, hear me out. What if we took this post credit scene, but we actually did it in Black Adam as well, but with Henry Cavill back?" And they're like, "What? That's genius!
Whoa!
What? We can do that. Write that down."
Write that down. But other things about this post-credit scene that I found interesting, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. Amanda Waller and Superman, does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, no, that doesn't quite make a lot of sense to me, that she's spending I guess in a way it does. She's like, "Hey, we kind of need you," but again, it doesn't really make sense, because like the Justice League has always typically been at odds with Amanda Waller and crew, so that's weird. But maybe it was more of a, "Hey, you're the strongest person in this planet. We kind of need you to go and talk to this guy and make sure he stays in this prison." So I can see it from that angle. But again, I don't understand why the JSA and crew are all working with Amanda Waller, because she is not a good person. She employs bad guys to go do the bidding of the American government. Like, that's just not how any of this works.
Yeah, especially with like, the good spirited like Superman. Well, I don't know like what version of Superman we're going to get in the future, I guess. Yeah, no, I found that interesting. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It was, but whatever. I'm happy that he's back. That's all that matters to me right now, is because we have been clamoring for him for so long that now it's like, okay, it's paying off. Henry's back. I'll take it at this point. I will take this cameo that makes no sense in the scheme of things, but I will take it. And then the one thing I got to backtrack real quick while we're talking about this. Something that made zero sense is that kid has a room full of all the superhero stuff. Do you know who we didn't see? Fucking Shazam. Shazam was nowhere to be found. This kid is a superhero lover, right? He had the Rebirth comics and everything. And one thing that you never saw was Shazam, who is literally the foe of Black Adam. Like, they are each other's arch nemesis. It's like, how are you going to just ignore Shazam in a universe where he exists and now has a second movie coming out? We're just, nope, we don't. Yeah, I like Shazam is nice, but I like Superman. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Did we only see like Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman in there?
Yeah,
like
he did.
The only three.
You saw Flash. There was Flash.
Okay. Oh man, the Flash.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we do Flash, but yeah, you just never saw Shazam though, who's probably one of the bigger superheroes at this point, especially considering they have the same symbol. He didn't even point out the same symbol, kind of deal. So
how odd.
Yeah,
I feel like it's almost kind of weird, because they played the Shazam 2 trailer before Black Adam.
Exactly.
So I'm wondering if like are they trying to treat them as like separate? Like it's almost like they don't want them to cross over. You know?
It makes no sense. But if this is all part of the same universe, they're going to have to. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's a good post-credit scene because they talk about Superman, Batman, all of them, especially in the Shazam trailer. They're like, Batman's cool, Aquaman does this, there's Flash. So they all, and then Henry Cavill, who they reference in Shazam, shows up in Black Adam. So they're all in the same universe.
Yeah. It's like everyone wants, or at least The Rock. The Rock, it's like he doesn't even mention Zach Levi or any of his movies. Like he's only concerned with Black Adam versus Superman. You know?
It makes no sense.
And I'm wondering, like, well, why? You know, like, how are you just gonna ignore like this other, like, how are you gonna ignore Shazam?
Dude, like, we're all actively like, we want to see Shazam versus Black Adam. Give us this, and he's like, who? No, Superman. Oh, you said Superman? Okay, cool. Superman. Yeah.
But no, isn't that weird? It's like in like, not like, forget the movies, you know, like the actual movies themselves or the shared universes, is just like The Rock just not mentioned.
Exactly. I don't get it. I don't understand the play, but then again, I don't understand much of what DC does.
Oh my gosh. But okay. What are you rating the movie? Out of 5 Shazams, what are you rating Black Adam?
I'm gonna give it about, I'm going to go 3 Shazams.
3 Shazams?
Yeah. Like, I enjoyed it. I know I have a lot of problems with this movie, but I enjoyed it overall. I got entertainment value out of it, and that's what I came into this looking for. Of course, as I think about it, I can pick it apart. But I left entertained, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of all of these characters.
For sure. And I'm right there with you. It's definitely a 3 for me. Initially, I gave it 3.5, but then I just thought about it more, and I'm like,
me too. I almost said 3.5 Shazams, but then I was like, no, I can't.
Yeah, but okay, cool. That's the review.
We changed the hierarchy. We did it.
We changed the hierarchy. Would you say the hierarchy of power has changed?
No, God, no. Nothing has changed. If anything, I'm more confused about the hierarchy.
It's like, what is even the hierarchy? What Rock, what were you going on about here?
I'm still confused of where the hierarchy is. I don't know what's going on.
But all right, awesome. One more time before we go, plug some socials for Hops Geek News.
Right on, man. You can go ahead and find us on any social media platform. Just search Hops Geek News. Lauren runs pretty much the Instagram. I run the Twitter. We have a Facebook group where we just like to talk about the latest news and things. And then TikTok, we both have been given movie recommendations and stuff like that. And then that's where you can search our episodes too. And I had a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to do this, and finally glad that we got to come and we talk about this movie, because we've been talking about it in the group for so long.
Yeah.
So getting to come over here to do it together, man, I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thanks for coming on, man. And hopefully we'll do some more collabs in the future for sure.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely get on for some Star Wars stuff. But okay, that's episode 102, folks. And please follow us, the Kyber Culture, on socials. Episode 103, I think we might talk Andor. We'll see. Have the other 2 co-hosts back. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode, and we'll catch you guys next time. So peace.